Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Joining me on Open Conversation this morning is Chizi Nyomasila. Chizi Nyomasila is a regular on Open Conversation. He's also a political analyst and the leader of ICU Group. Good morning, Chizi, and welcome.
Good morning, Larissa. Good morning, Nigeria.
Also joining me on Open Conversation this morning is Nze Nze. Nze Nze is a regular on Open Conversation, a political analyst, and is also prized himself as advocate of the masses. Good morning, Nze, and welcome.
Good morning, Loretta. I am mourning the death of General kidnapper here in Kebbi State, so that's why I'm not looking happy this morning.
I'm wearing suit. That's why you're happy.
I have to put on suit to express my grievances.
I thought when people express their grievances, they wear black. When you're mourning...
The color is your choice.
Okay, at least your papa's cap reflects the state of your mind right now. You're wearing black, and you also forgot to mention the attack on Kogi Church, Christ Apostolic Church. And that of travelers from Kogi State as well. A lot is happening at the same time. But then, on to the story. Governor Abu Kefas has suspended his planned defection to the All Progressive Congress following the abduction of schoolgirls in Kebbi State. He described the incident as heartbreaking and said it would be insensitive to proceed with political celebrations during a national tragedy. Kefas emphasized that the safety and well-being of children outweigh any political interest, while extending sympathy to affected families and urging security agencies to intensify rescue efforts. The defection rally, earlier slated for November 19, has been put on hold pending improved security and further consultations. Meanwhile, political realignments continue in Taraba as all PDP members in the State Assembly, local government chairmen, top government officials, and secretary to the state government have already moved to the APC. Party leaders praised Kefas for prioritizing compassion over politics. I'll start with you, Nze, on this one. What is your take on this story?
When you see a man that has the sympathy of the people at heart, you will know by his conduct. You will know by his body movements. Abu Kefas of Taraba State has proven to the top Nigerian politicians that the interest of the governed should supersede their personal political interest. So what the governor of Taraba State has shown his capacity and strength of character in a way of dropping his personal interest, his political alignment or affiliation, and that of national and the security of the people, especially the girls, because not just the girls, the Kwara victims, the Kogi victims, the general that lost his life, and things like that, and the rest of the soldiers that lost their lives in that incident. So, you see, I had expected that other state actors should behave like Abu Kefas, but you didn't see it happening. Now, he had to do his, this thing came on 19th, but look at what of those that happened on 17th and 18th. They still went ahead with their political rallies and things like that, as we can see in Kogi State and other parts of the country. Whereas in PDP, we saw in PDP on Tuesday, where the two factions were fighting over the lives of people that are being wasted here and there. And you see them fighting and shouting and claiming ownership of party and things like that. Whereas everybody should have gone low, even the flag lowered. Because if America is speaking against what is happening in Nigeria, and this thing now repeated again, now what right do you have to say that the accusation of genocide against Christians is false? Because the girls that were kidnapped were said to have come from the Christian enclave. The Kwara State church shooting happened in a church. It's a Christian stuff. And when you look at all these things, you agree with the Americans that Christians are being targeted in Nigeria. And Abu Kefas, being a Christian, seeing how these things have happened, had to step down. But the rest of the people were carrying out their duties,
All
which
right.
to me, I didn't see it as a wise choice to make by other politicians. But Abukefas has done what is right. Whether he joins APC or not is his personal interest. But first, we have to sympathize with the fellow citizens who are going through trauma, both the parents and the children and the government of Kebbi State.
All right, very well. Nze, Chizi, what do you make of this story?
I support him, except that I will not reduce it to the religious sentiment. Because he didn't do that because he's a Christian.
All right.
He did that because that's the right thing to do as a governor of a state. Of course, that didn't happen in his state. Anyone would have said, okay, let me go ahead to do what. But of course, as national inspector of this country, we have to say, because people who they kidnapped. But you see, I don't know whether there is a place where we're going into that kind of discussion. I would say that the government is not careful. Because, you know, let me tell you what happens around this whole thing. You will begin to see that even the opposition will begin to take advantage of things like this to cause more mayhem. I'm telling you the truth. A lot of things can happen just to make sure that that thing that the US is saying is true. Whether you wanted it or not, and that's what happens in politics. I hate for us to begin to politicize human's life. Security is for all of us, whether you're a Christian or you're a Muslim. Like I said in one of your show here, I said it's not just about the Christians. Yes, I know that the majority of the Christians were killed, but there are so many things underlying those things. The economic factors. That's what we don't understand. It is the economic factors. Yes, people are falling victim of it. There are Muslims who also died in the course of all of this. We know that the Christian has, become victim of that more. But don't remove the economic factor, the Chinese factor, the US factor, why they are coming, and our people shouldn't fall prey to it. And again, I have always said it. You see, yesterday it was about Jonathan, when Jonathan was in power, and people were politicizing it. Today, those who politicize it are not in power. You who also is politicizing this thing will be in power. These persons have no interest or zero interest on whatever they do. I'm talking about the United States of America. And anything can happen to prove what I have said of the government. So we have to be careful as Nigerians to know that they shouldn't use our people to do that.
Now, the question would be, to a large extent, Nigerians, if we are to go by what you have said, I understand the perspective of the opposition possibly taking advantage of this, right, to oust the ruling party, considering what played out during the time of Jonathan. But then, you know, tweets of President Tinubu at that time, when Jonathan was in power, has been surfacing. He has been very vocal about, he was very vocal then about the killings in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Then he was very vocal. He condemned even the abduction of the Chibok girls. President Tinubu then had a lot to say. One would say now, he's riding that horse now. The buck stops on his table. How come?
Yeah.
I'm saying this because the presidency, he did not accidentally fall into the office of the president like Jonathan's own happened.
Yeah, sure.
He said, Emiloko,
It's my turn.
it is my turn. So he has been preparing over the years. He understands the complexity of the Nigerian situation. He understands the complexity of the security in Nigeria. And he said, Emiloko. So that singular statement cancels out any excuse that his administration has to give to Nigerians. Why is it that insecurity is getting worse by the day?
No.
And why is it that the government up till now does not have the political will to face this head on?
Now let me tell you, Lorisha, you see, one of the things I hate and I like about coming to your show, the same thing I hate, and that's the same thing I like, is that you have a way of not giving me work outside here because you know I will say it the way it is. And that thing is that you allow us say the truth. At least if you cannot get work, then we face God with the truth. So I'm telling you, now look at, I have just said here, even before I closing my statement, I said here, that don't forget that during Jonathan, that all of the players now were those, I'm talking about Tinubu and Buhari and Atiku and Amechi, that there were those who even gave us to the US. Don't forget, there were those who even gave us, they made to the United States ambassador in Lagos, trying to blackmail Nigeria about the Chibok girls. They blew the thing so high that everything about Jonathan was devil. And I said, again, let me use the same word I used for you, is that the same thing that Jonathan did, the best and the worst thing Jonathan did, was to withdraw and hand them over to the whole of this. You see, let me tell you one thing. Somebody was telling me something that the case of the Niger Delta, I have said it over a time, that the case of Niger Delta is like somebody coming to your house to defecate in your house. And then you now said, oh, come, he has defecated in my house. Then you call your children, everybody, come and begin to defecate in your house. And then the man runs. You are the one to stay there. So when they were doing all of this US something and all of that, thinking that because everything they take it to political, that's the same thing I'm asking now. That the same thing, I am mentioning all of those, including those who are waiting to become president. I am saying that Erofai was chief among those who brought, who elaborated this insecurity as if I exaggerated it. Erofai, Chibikere to be Amechi, Atiku Abubakar, Tinubu, Buhari, they were all there. All of these persons, Malawi, they are all among them. The same people now have come. It looks to me that is their tactics of taking over power. The only disappointment with Tinubu is, if you were there and I knew that this is the kind of tactics they use, why didn't you sit strong and know what to do? That's my disappointment with him. Because it looks like that, because that's what they used in coming to power. But I'm also saying that Nigerians, let us not continue to go through this route. So we don't get to degenerate into, look, before Jonathan, before the coming into power of the APC now, we didn't have the herdsmen. We didn't have kidnapping in the north. What we had was the Boko Haram. But when they came, you know the scripture is that they will say, the Bible says that when you deliver somebody from a demon,
and you leave the place
clean,
you go and bring his people.
Bring 7 more.
They said 7 more wicked than him.
More wicked than them. So they have come to bring those who are more wicked. As at that time, the herdsmen didn't know. Remember, let me tell you how they pay the herdsmen then. Is that out of 10 or 15, they give them one of the things. That's how they pay them. But they have got to carry gun and kidnap somebody. And just that one ransom can buy 100 cows. So what do they do with the cow? The cow now becomes, now is a tool now to what they use to kidnapping people. They didn't know that.
To enter territories.
So they didn't know that. They didn't know that why they were saying that. That those persons, see, all of this insecurity in Nigeria, in Niger Delta started in 2003. In Niger Delta. And it was sponsored by the politicians who wanted to use them as voice to undermine other opposition. But when you give 1,000 persons gun, be sure that more than 800 cannot bring it back. And the reason for other things. And the reason to become state terror. That's what is happening. So all I'm just cautioning now is, please, let us not reduce this into political or religion. Let us see what is coming on board. What is coming on board. And know that these same people that are now looking at positioning themselves as the saint that is going to come, they are going to come and inherit more things.
All right.
That's all I'm just saying.
All right, very well. Chizi, I perfectly understand you, but then there are also different perspectives to this. Now, to a large extent, Nigerians appear to have lost faith in their government. Now, we are talking of insecurity that has spanned over a decade. And, there is something there is a parable in my place. I will speak it in Igbo, and then I will translate it. It says, Aro Bafo, or Wominala. Do you understand? When bad character stays too long, it becomes a tradition, right? Or when an abomination, that's the right word. Aro is abomination. When an abomination tarries for long, it becomes a culture. It becomes a way of life. It now becomes acceptable. Nigeria has been living in what I will call a security anathema, if I may say that, if I may use that word. And to a large extent, Nigerians while Nigerians are getting used to not having the government take responsibility for anything, Nigerians have a way of using sense of humor to cope as coping mechanism. And now, for the first time United States have tweeted. It took the tweet. You know, the painful thing is it took the tweet of the president of another country for our government to start running from pillar to post. It took a tweet. Just one tweet. And even after that tweet, and with the government trying to do so much damage control on the international, on the global scene, now, these terrorists, we have Boko Haram now acting, we have ISWAP now taking responsibility. In fact, I don't know if you saw that video of Boko Haram and ISWAP clashing, fighting on sea. That's a real thing. We have ISWAP now acting, we have Boko Haram acting, we have bandits acting, we have Fulani headsmen acting. And it is not just in the north right now, but if you're following the trajectories coming down to the southwest and to the south-south. They're already in the southeast, in the forest of southeast, and they strike once in a while. So now the question will be, Chizzy is saying we should be circumspect because these foreign countries, particularly the US, may have an ulterior motive. While that is there, at this point, do you think Nigerians even really care about the interest, whatever interest US will have, as against the daily killings by these people and one would say the docility of the government?
You know, if I pick this question from this point, we'll miss a lot of things.
Go ahead.
I want to go a little down the history lane.
All right.
You made a statement in Igbo language, which I acknowledge, that when abomination lasts a long time, it becomes a tradition. Now, the one thing we need to understand is that that abomination that happened through one man, either one man or group of people. Now, for the community not to show capacity to handle those people, either because of their political affiliation, because of their status in this society or in the community, they will be allowed to get away with it. Now, when it becomes a tradition, you discover that children will be born into that community. They will, right from the day they are opening their eyes, they will see themselves in practicing that evil until when they grow, it becomes, to them, it is no longer evil. It is now the observers from outside that will be seeing it as evil. What happened? What brought about insecurity in Nigeria? Severally, both local and international organizations have named men who were responsible in sponsoring banditry, insurgents, or whatever thing you may call it in Nigeria. We have people in government who are still walking the streets today as people who came openly to tell us that they invited these people from another country. We've lived here, by God's grace, I'm no longer a little child. We've lived in this country with Fulani herdsmen.
Yes, of course.
We know the way they operate. They move from place to place. If by any means their cow enters into your farm and you come around, you see them begging you, telling you, Aku, Aku, Aku. Go and check. Aku is a Fufude language. How do I come about knowing it? If they were as ferocious and as fierce and as wicked and as bloodthirsty as they are today, will I be able to know their language to that extent? My immediate elder brother speaks Fufude very clearly because he lived in Adamawa State, in Gembu precisely, Fulani dominated area. And he learned this language, he interacted with them. So what happened that these Fulani suddenly became monsters? There are Nigerian politicians who went to Central African Republic, Chad, Niger, and other parts, even, what's it called? What's this country again? Where they have Fulanis, who were militia in nature, and they brought them to Nigeria. Say, come, let us occupy Nigeria. Nigeria is our heritage. Who told you that the largest nation, a black nation on earth, is your territory? How many are you? And these people came. We shouted about the porosity of our borders. El Rufai, one of the chieftain of ADC today, and former governor of Kaduna State, told us that Fulanis were global citizens and they don't have boundaries. I don't know how many Fulanis that have entered Ghana. I don't know how many Fulanis that have entered South Africa. I don't know how many Fulanis that have entered the US without papers, only in Nigeria. So you see that abomination you talked about were actually brought in by some group of men who are still moving about today, talking to us on televisions and videos and newspapers. And we are here keeping quiet, looking for who to blame and who not to blame. Why should you make me, at my age, to stay around while some certain evil happened and I will not be able to speak out? For what? Is it because of money or because of fear of death? The general that died didn't die because he spoke out. He died in the course of duty. So if death should come to me while I'm doing my job, I have no regret about it. So you now see, that is number one. Until Nigerian government rise up to its responsibility to arrest these people, listen to me, dealing with insurgency, dealing with insecurity in Nigeria is not a rocket science at all. Why were those terrorists trying to run out of Nigeria when the initial time Trump gave his threat? That made other neighboring nations, Chad and the rest of them, trying to block their borders. Why? Because they knew that they were powerless. So, and today, you can go to social media, you see these people negotiating with the citizens as if they are in the employment of the citizens. You see some of them coming out to say that they do not know gun, that you don't need gun to rear cow, that it was government that gave them gun. It was government that gave them the name they are bearing. It was government that is supporting them. I've had several serving soldiers who came out to say that working in the Nigerian army in today's world, Nigeria, is a suicide. Because when you want to round off those people, they will just, give a counter order. You retreat. The next thing you see the people pumping in. How come they arrested this
how do they
general?
How do they get information?
That's the question.
How do they get information to ambush Nigeria,
the
military officers? Recall that this general also did a video, telling people, oh, calm down, I have escaped, and then suddenly lost orientation.
He was rounded.
So that's what I'm saying. Suddenly, according to the news, he lost orientation, like whatever that means, in the bush, and then he was recaptured. Who was giving out information?
Now
that also brings to mind the reward system of the government. Now, this is a country where people who are agitating for self-determination are proscribed as terrorists. Meanwhile, actual people who stuck in trade is terrorism in the real sense of the word, genocide in the real sense of the word, are offered amnesty. And there was one operation that the military, for some reason, I can't remember, probably I will recall before the end of the show. They said they did one operation, whatever, but basically that operation was to rehabilitate repentant Boko Haram members, and according to them, they were rehabilitated and reintegrated.
Some into the
system and all of that. Nigerian Army has come out later to deny that they were reintegrated into Nigerian Army. Well, that leaves a lot to question. But that brings to mind, all these things. That's why I said, does the government have political will to fight terrorism, considering that President Tinubu said Emiloko, and he is aware of all these things that were happening, the insecurity, the complexity of Nigerian issues before he became president. That Emiloko trumps any excuse he could give as to why he is unable to deliver on insecurity or curbing insecurity in Nigeria. And I have also asked the question, I think I'll direct this to Chizzy.
But before Chizzy comes,
yes, with respect to how the government has been treating these people, ISWAP, Boko Haram, killer Fulani headsmen, and bandits with kid gloves.
Before Chizzy comes up, let me point out this. If truly the government is serious in handling this insecurity, the first question everybody should have been asking after the ambush of this military and the subsequent gruesome killing of the general should be, who was the person the general was sacked? Who was the person? Who got that information? Because the capturing of the general must be traceable to that person who got the information. How did Sahara reporter got that tweet, that WhatsApp message? Are you getting me? How did it leak? Military is claiming to be tight in information and all that. How did these things leak? You now see that we have members of Boko Haram, ISWAP, bandits among the army. Now, looking at what you want to accuse Tinubu of, that he actually prepared before coming in.
I'm not accusing, I'm making a statement.
Yeah, you're making a statement of that. You see that before you will come up to the point of claiming that this is my turn, it means you must have negotiated across board. So it means that when he was going to the north to negotiate for a handover to him, instead of a southeasterner or northwest, in fact, not even northwestern, it was the right of the southeasterners as at 2023. So when Mr. Tinubu went to negotiate with them, I believe that the issue of insecurity was brought on the table, and he made promises. So it is on the basis of his promises, I am putting it to him, it is on the basis of his promises that he's still treating insecurity with hand gloves, with kid gloves. Look at, these things are happening. Tinubu jetted out of this country. To do what? Okay, if you get there, they ask you about your country, what will you tell them? You are sending Shetima to go to Kebbi State to do what?
Right.
To sympathize with the people of Kebbi State, or to show proof that you have rescued these people, these children that were killed. If you rescue those children that were kidnapped, will you rescue the vice principal that was shot dead?
All right, very well. Nze, sorry, again, Chizi, what do you have to say before we move on to the next story?
You know, when I say that we should come home internally to deal with our security, if you look at, for instance, the case of Lagos, you will find out that each time there is insecurity or economic problem in Lagos, they remove partisanship, they remove religion, they come together, and that's why they will be able to solve it. So that's why I keep saying that we should be able to solve it. Like he said, if we dig the foundation, remember when Jonathan wanted to talk with the Boko Haram, who did they nominate? Who did the Boko Haram nominate as their representative?
It was Buhari.
Buhari. That Boko Haram.
You need to repeat that statement again.
Yes, I'm saying it.
No, because Nigerians need to remember.
We need to remember all of this. That when Jonathan was trying to negotiate with these persons, the only person they said that was going to represent them and they would hear for was Buhari. And that was the same Buhari that we elected to become our president. Now, let me tell you something about taking over power from Mini Cooper. Is that a whole lot of negotiation, especially from the opposition, can happen. That's why I'm also suspecting this present political period. A whole lot of things can be done. If you said it was Buhari that the Boko Haram wanted, and then the same Boko Haram, and then you brought the man as how can Buhari fight that?
Okay, his voice.
His voice. Because, come to think of it, I'm a politician, for instance. If I put you in government, you can't fight me.
Which presidential candidate once mentioned in one of his campaigns that the bloods of monkeys and baboons shall be on the streets?
Buhari.
All right.
Buhari.
So you saw that N05 was saying that the Fulanis, if I was saying that the Fulanis, they are free, they are cross-nation, and so they can come into this thing. You know why?
No, he said they are our brothers.
So they can come in. You know what he was doing? He was trying for them to get votes from those Fulanis. And a lot of things happened. Like he said, we've been living with the Fulanis. Up till today, in Elele, we have what we call the Hausa Elele. They are the Fulanis, they are the cattle rearers who have lived with us. Uncle Isa, I'm sure he's listening to me. Uncle Isa is a Fulani who has stayed in my place. He was born there, and I call him Uncle. We speak the same language. So we've been living with them all this while. So there is a Fulani, quote unquote, that was brought by these persons who took over power in 2015.
The original Fulani in Nigeria are peaceful people.
That's why I'm telling you that. That's why I keep saying that.
The people, you're saying the people perpetrating this dastardly act are migrants, are Fulani migrants from
that was
other
brought
countries.
in for political purpose.
Oh, okay.
Now, that's why each time I want to address this issue, you see, it's not like I'm a Christian, right? I'm a Christian. I have always told people that while I was in the north, I've stayed in the north for 80 years. While I was in the north, you can't dare talk about coming to Rivers State because we thought everybody was dead here because of the militancy. And who were the militants? Because one person is called a cheesy or the other person is called a Christian, does not mean that he's a Christian. Because we define Christianity because you go to church or you bear the name of a Christian.
All right.
The same way we define Islam. So all of those who were, if you're a Boko Haram, quote me, ask me, who were the first person, the first priest, when you call Ifa, that they dealt with? It was a Muslim cleric that they dealt with, because he was speaking against them. All of those who were speaking against them. So like what I'm saying is that if we come down, that is why we want to work with the Fulanis who are here. We want to work with the Hausas who are here. We want to work with the Christians who are here. Let us now know who are the different. Remember there was a time where our own indigenous people in Kaduna, for instance, in Kano, on Sundays you will see the Muslims go to guide the Christians. And then on Friday, the Christians will go and guide the Muslims. The indigenous. Because they know that these people are not them. But for those who brought them, so when you begin to negotiate, I tell people that if you want to reduce the insecurity of any particular state, local government, don't tell those boys to support you while you're going into power. If they support you, you can't do nothing.
All right.
Because they know your name, the other name.
All right, very well. Still speaking on the attitude of the government, Vice President Kashim Shettima on Monday received former Kogi State Governor Idris Wada and several other opposition leaders into the All Progressive Congress at a rally in Lokoja. Wada defected alongside members of the PDP, SDP, ADC, and others, with Shettima describing the mass movement as a new chapter for the APC in the state and across Nigeria. Shettima praised President Bola Tinubu's leadership, expressing confidence in a sweeping APC victory in 2027. He commended former Governor Yahaya Bello for laying the groundwork for ongoing development and assured that the APC would continue to deliver progress nationwide. APC National Chairman Nentawe Yewada presented the party flag to Wada, who said recent reforms, including fuel subsidy removal, were stabilizing the economy. Governor Usman Ododo hailed the defectors as influential grassroots leaders, stressing that their entry further confirms Kogi as an APC stronghold. Other notable defectors included former lawmakers, Speaker Alpha Imam, and SDP's 2023 deputy governorship candidate, Sam Abenemi, as thousands of supporters from across the state attended the rally. Now, first of all, I am not going to ask the usual characteristic question of what you think about the story. There is a perspective that I'm bringing to this. Now, this morning and yesterday night, I watched a live shooting that happened on the border of Kwara State and Kogi State. That is the Christ Apostolic Mission, where they were streaming their live worship, and then bandits struck, whether bandits or known gunmen, they were masked and they struck. And then people lost their lives. Some people they captured some and took them into the bush. There are information filtering out that, they have been executed. Some are saying, whatever is going on, the report of the casualty is being underreported, a whole lot going on. But now that brings to mind, I couldn't sleep all through the night because, my timeline, social media was just saddled with different insecurity reports coming. My mental health yesterday was in shatters, and I was awake till this morning, which now brings me, as I was going through the story, I now realized this incident happened just a few days ago, almost the same time. Vice President Shettima was in Kogi State doing this, right? And prior to this visit to Kogi State, The Kebbi girls have been abducted, correct?
Yeah.
They were
On Monday.
abducted. They were abducted at them. So this was making headlines. And the vice president of a nation, I'll repeat it again, the vice president of a nation went to welcome defectors to his party. I'm trying to make this thing make sense to me because I watched that shooting live and it's traumatizing to say the least. There was an old woman that couldn't even run. She couldn't even run. She was bent. You know what it means to watch your death coming and you're defenseless. You can't do anything about it. I watched that video too. People were shouting and shouting and shouting until there was no more shouts. Like I couldn't hear any other voice, just gunshots. And the truth remains that some persons these are family members, that they will watch their family members being executed live on that live stream. They know their family members were in that church at that very moment. And they will never hear from them again. And they know. And while this insecurity is happening, the vice president of a nation, on the same day that abduction of girls happened, is welcoming political defectors. Probably I'm setting the pace for the conversation, but I think at this point, we have to have hard conversations about the country and not pretend that everything is okay.